All right. Welcome back to the Pure Athlete Podcast, the show where we deep dive into the world of sports and always relating it back to mental, physical relationships for parents and student athletes. Super excited for this one. We've got an awesome guest on today. Pierre, thanks for being with us. Pierre Desir in the house. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to dive in. I don't know. You weren't at Lindenwood with us. We've been through this. Gross has been the word that has been.
She missed a good time.
But what do you think? Football analyst?
I know. I'm the football analyst here.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So we joke all the time. We've got these two that are huge into fantasy football. And on the last podcast, we talked about if I had to hire a crew for my fantasy football team, her and Sam would be it. It's like.
So you guys don't do auto picks?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I don't trust those leagues.
No.
I don't trust those leagues. That's not fair.
No, it's a serious league I'm in. All girls were serious.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
No auto picks.
No.
Yeah. QB1 was your boy Rogers.
Yeah.
Tough. You had them?
I did.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Week 1 was like 0.0 points. Okay.
Do you guys do like any bets if someone loses, like dress up?
No, we made it easy this year, but next year, get serious.
Yeah, she's pretty much the coordinator of that. So now that she's felt it out, she's like, I've got some plans for next year.
That's awesome.
Well, we're super excited. I'm excited to hear your story. So you and I, well, the three of us, but you and I were at Lindenwood University at the same time, where you went to undergrad. We have mutual friends too, which is super cool. And now you're back in O'Fallon. But I just want to start. Give us a little bit of your story, a little bit of your background. Take us from zero to now?
Yeah.
Kind of where'd you grow up? How did you end up at Lindenwood? Let's start there.
All right. Everybody get ready. So I'll just start in the beginning. So I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
Okay.
And during the 90s, at that time, there was a lot of political issues. There was a lot of violence during that time. So a group of missionaries helped my family and probably 10 other families get citizenship to the United States.
Okay.
And we moved to sunny St. Louis, right off the bat from Haiti. And that's where we grew up. And during that time, just seeing my parents, both of them non-speaking English, didn't have the highest education, and just seeing them work very hard with me and my sister, and then eventually my three younger brothers. I saw what hard work looked like at an early age, so I was very blessed to be able to see that and fortunate to be able to see that. So we lived in Southside St. Louis until I was about 11.
Okay.
And then we made the transfer to St. Charles, and that's when things just started picking up with a little bit sports. I played soccer growing up, starting at 2. It's the
How
biggest.
old were you when you came to St. Louis?
I was 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 4 years old. My sister was 6, and we stayed there for a little bit. It was kind of a culture shock for my parents, really, because you're so used to like a village type mentality, but then you move to the United States. So many people kind of spread out. So we still try to keep in touch with a lot of people that we came over with. So around 11 years old, moved to St. Charles, and started getting more interest in other sports. I played basketball and soccer growing up. Didn't really play football until I got to high school. I played backyard football, the like throw the ball up and you call a number, try to catch it. I played all the game like backyard football. I played it. Now, did I understand football that well? Absolutely not. Madden. I knew the routes.
Yeah, the thumb.
I knew that on the GameCube. I don't know if you know.
I know GameCube.
Okay, just making sure. We fact checking you now. You said you 90. We fact checking you. So I got more interested in playing sports and playing football. But my parents didn't really know anything about football. We was a soccer family. I grew up watching soccer. That was a sport that I loved, and it wasn't really until my friends got me into football. Just like, hey, come out there, try out, see how it is. So freshman year, I went to try out, made the team, and there's certain things I remember during that period. But one of the things I remember was the first play I had. I was playing safety, and I caught the interception, and I ran. Now, usually you're supposed to run through the goal line and stop. So I just kept running onto the track. I didn't know what to do. So I'm over here like celebrating. And everybody's like, come back, you got to come back. But it's, I didn't really know the game like that.
Right.
I didn't really know the game. And I really, started getting a liking to it. And I was supposed to make a decision to go to soccer because it's in the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a tough conversation with my parents, just telling them, look, I want to try this out. They didn't know too much about it. I didn't know too much about it. They're like, we want to make sure you're safe. We want to make sure everything's good. So I convinced them. I was like, if I don't really get hurt, and if I could, do well in it, I'll stick with it. If not, I'm gonna switch to soccer. So I did well my freshman year and my sophomore year, and during that time, a lot of things were going great for me.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Francis House Central, the Francis House Central.
Yeah.
It's a little different now, but
the Francis House.
The Francis House Central. Sunday night football. So Francis House Central. I loved high school. Actually, if I could go back to a period of time, I would go back to high school. Some people didn't like high school.
We just had this conversation on the truck the other day.
Yeah. See, some people didn't like high school. See, I liked it. I was kind of like back in those like late 90s, 2000 movies of like The Jock and people. That's how my high school was.
We'll fill you in at a good time.
Yeah, house parties, So that was my high school experience, and I loved it. I say that, and then when I was in high school, around my junior year, I had a daughter my junior year. So I was a teen father at 16, and at that moment in life, I realized how important relationships were, and I realized who was closest to me in certain times. And I had friends that were the same age, they're high school kids, and they don't really know how to adjust to someone having a baby. Yeah. But I had friends that stuck with me, had family members that stuck with me, teachers. Those were a lot of big people in my life, and so they stuck around with me to help me through that time. And out of everything I've done throughout my life, being a dad at 16 was the hardest thing ever. It's still probably, I'm doing a lot of stuff now, but it's still probably the hardest thing. A kid raising a kid. So it was very it was a roller coaster ride. But my junior year, I started getting a lot of letters from different colleges and different schools, all over the school. I still have packets of it all over different colleges, like all D1s or whatever. And during that junior year, they're like, hey, you should probably think about going to college. Now, I wasn't really worried about school as that much.
Yeah.
My sister was. She was all about school. I was like, look, I'm just trying to play football, have fun with my friends. I wasn't even thinking about the future like that. And it wasn't until I, sat down and talked with some of my coaches, and Coach Burke, he was a head coach there at Francis House Central. He sat down with me. It showed me, this is Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO, like all the things that I didn't know.
Laid it out.
Sat down with my parents, and we had no idea. So, and what's crazy, I see a lot of kids now, families go through the same thing where they have no idea.
Right.
The pathway to even get to college.
The recruitment process is crazy.
And that's something that we talked about too. And like I kind of told you before we got started, is it's like that's one of the resources that we want to be able to give these kids and families, because it's not, just because their parents don't always have the right answers or even know what questions to ask. We just had a dad in here the other day where we did one of our physicals that we do on our athletes, but it was the same thing. It's like, I literally told him, I was like, if we can teach the parents to ask better questions, get better answers. But I think after going through the process, now that you know that, it almost seems like, well, most everybody's got to know what that layout looks like. I mean, with your background coming over from Haiti, and that might be, it's like, okay, let's explain this. But I think we still take that for granted. It's like there's a lot of families everywhere that need what is the difference between JUCO all the way up to D1. What's the advantages and disadvantages, even if you are a chip, right? And I think that's a great point you bring up, because how are they supposed to know?
Right.
And it was so much that we just didn't know. And he helped us out a lot, and I was just weighing out my options. And, you know, even though, like I said, high school was the best time, you know, I think because of what I accomplished later in life, I kind of bypassed the hardships a little bit and adversities that I had to, you know, to deal with. Because I'm like, look, I made it through, and it was worth it. So I really just look at the good times in high school.
Yeah.
You know, getting booked. You know what that is? Yeah. I'm getting you now. So, you know, just you know, in that junior year, and then finally getting some help, and you know, like I said, I was getting recruited and all this stuff, and then, you know, then I had a baby, so now I'm trying to figure out how to handle that, and figuring out, okay, now I need to go to college because now I have to figure out a way to take care of this, to take care of this little girl, and you know, going into my senior year, you know, we had we had a down season, really. We had a down season our senior year, and you know, I didn't do well in my testing, so I didn't do well in my ACT. So I go from D1 to go D2, D3, or whatever. But you know, luckily I had someone there to help. So I'm like, okay, if I don't go here, I can at least go here and weigh my options. And my thought process at that time, I have to get a scholarship. You know, I have an older sister, I have 3 younger brothers, I have a kid. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford this. Yeah. So that was my option. And what I try to tell kids today is, it doesn't matter if you really go D1, D2, D3. Your school's getting paid for. You know, if you're on scholarship, which is only about 7% of athletes from high school to college. That's a big deal. Like, to be able to get that paid for, that's a big deal. Now, you know, it's not, some schools are not as glamorous, right? But your school's paid for, so that's one less thing that you have to worry about. So that was my main focus: get a scholarship to be able to move on. And I had a dream about playing in the NFL. And
when did that happen? Let me just, sorry to interrupt, because you just came over. So you came over being a soccer player. Yes. Your family's being a soccer player. Yes. And you're running through the back of end zones, not knowing when to stop. It's like the kid that keeps running the bases, right? And it's like, so when did you decide, like, man, I want to go to the league?
I think it was, I said the first time I had the idea that maybe I could be that good to be able to go over there was, it was my sophomore year. It's about 3rd or 4th game. I was second string or third string, one of the two. And one of the guys went down. And I always preach about being prepared. And my mantra is push, right? And so what it stands for is persistence, utilize an opportunity, sacrifice, and hustle. That's something that I thought about in high school, which is, you know, big ups to young P. But that was a mantra that I had because of, you know, this adversity that I was getting hit with. And, you know, at that point, you know, I could have been mad at the coaches and been like, oh, I'm not starting and all this stuff. But I was ready for my chance, got into the game. And then the very first play, it was like a 50-yard, 56-yard catch, and I made the catch. And then after that catch, the starter never went in for the rest of that season. He healed up, but he never went in, and I just stayed the starter the remainder of my career. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm kind of good at this. And then junior year, I played running back. Now I'm 6'2" for all the people. So I was 6'2", 165 pounds with pads on, playing running back. So. And I didn't know what to do, and my coaches just said, just run fast. You know, just don't get touched and just run fast. And so that's all I did. I wasn't trying to get hit. You know, I played basketball and I ran track. So, you know, I was like, all right, look, I gotta make sure I'm good for basketball. I'm gonna use my track background to go ahead and just not get touched.
Just lay it on them.
Just run. Burn them. Just run. Use my blockers. And so. It was in that junior year. It was actually the first game. Just rushed for over 100 yards, and you know, I was like, you know what, I can. How do I get to that next level? Because I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. You know, thought about college, and then started really getting into football a lot more. Like I didn't really have a team growing up. You know, and I tell people this: I'm not really like a fan of growing up, like
sure,
football. Like
yeah.
I didn't have a team.
Yeah.
You know, like even now I'm retired. I don't really have a team. I have friends that are on teams and I cheer for them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying out. I'm trying out to see which teams. What's your team?
I feel like I just like everything, honestly.
What's your team?
Steelers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played in the AFC, so okay.
Yeah,
so that would be a little bit tough for me, but
Steelers, Browns.
yeah, so that was a little bit
Steelers,
tough.
Browns, Steelers, Bengals,
Yes.
the Ohio
I
team.
just like football. I'll watch whoever plays football.
I'll be honest though, like there's not many teams that I dislike.
Yeah. Right.
My dad's from Pittsburgh, but I love watching. The history of Pittsburgh is strong.
Yes,
Obviously, one of the most championship cities out there.
Yeah.
New York, St. Louis, Pittsburgh. But I love watching like Lynn Swann.
Yeah.
I love watching the Steel Curtain
yes,
and Bradshaw and all those guys. And my dad had his family was friends with the owners of the Pirates and the Steelers at the time, so he was blessed to go to a lot of the games too. So pretty rich history in Pittsburgh too. But I still pick a win down this week.
Yeah. Your boy.
But yeah, sorry.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, so I didn't really watch football like that. And then junior year started finally, watching a little bit more and starting to see, myself in the NFL at that point. And so go to my senior year. I didn't go D1. I was able to get a full ride scholarship to Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. There's nothing in Topeka. So I know people are looking it up. I'm like, there's nothing. there's Washburn, and that's about it. So so I went to Washburn University, and I had a great first year. So my freshman year, I got All-American. I was up for votes for Freshman of the Year.
And what position did you play in college?
In college, so I came out of high school as an athlete, and then went to college at Washburn. And there's so many receivers. Yeah. One thing, kids, listen: if you guys play defensive back, in this game now, you will get paid. Let me tell you. There's so many receivers. There's so many skill guys. The defense position, cornerback, safety, nickel. Those are hard positions to play. So if you can be decent, you're gonna get a look. And if you got some height, you get a look too.
Yeah.
But, so I was a receiver, but there's so many receivers in college, and I was like, let me go play. Let me go play corner. I wanna play.
Sure.
Man, I was getting routed up at one-on-ones. I was getting cooked.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I need to go back to receiver.
It's easier to run forward than it is
easier to run forward than go backwards. So I was getting cooked, but I stuck with it, and and I just continued to work, and I had some great coaches out there that just stuck with me, and I wanted to learn about the position a lot more. Like I said, I didn't grow up watching football that much.
You didn't get to see Ronnie Lott.
Yeah, I wasn't really
see Woodson.
The thing is, like I watched I watched games, but I didn't really know who I was watching.
Yeah.
But so I would look at the position, look at the running back, was it like Ricky Williams? I was looking at positions, but I'm like, and at this point now, I'm like, oh, that was Ricky Williams I was really watching. So I was like, I wasn't really in it like that.
Man, that was such an era too.
Yeah,
man.
that was a good time.
That was, Ricky Williams, you had Jerome Bettis.
Yes.
Had, Marcus Allen was on the tail end. Montana was on the tail end. Like, that was such a good era.
Yeah, I started watching Champ Bailey a little bit more too.
Yeah.
I was So my freshman year I did well, and then my sophomore year, I did well again, and that's when I had my second daughter. And the NCAA is a lot different now than it was back then with the transfer and everything. And I think
in the past 2 years, the NCAA is different.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been crazy. Pay the kids.
Yeah.
Pay the athletes. And I had my second daughter at that time, and it was at Washburn. It was a little bit different to where I couldn't get the funds that I needed, so we was trying to go for government assistance because I was on scholarship, and the money on the scholarship, I wasn't able to get government assistance. So I had to make a decision: stay there, go to school, struggle, or I can go home, get some family to help me out. And I'm a big preacher about taking care of your responsibilities. I never
100%.
made an excuse for being a dad at 16, that's not how I was raised.
Right.
That was my responsibility. I made that choice, so I owned up to it, and I knew I had to take care of my kids and take care of my family. So I made the decision to leave, and the NCAA made a decision to where I couldn't just transfer right away, even though I was going to Lindenwood. Lindenwood at the time was NIA, going to D2.
Yeah.
I had to sit out a year of football.
Oh, okay.
And so I sat out a year of football, and during that year, I worked multiple different temp jobs. I worked at this temp agency called Labor Ready. You watch movies and you watch TVs where guys would drive up and there's guys on the curb, and they'll just, all right, you hop in the truck. It was like that, but in an office.
Yeah.
So you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You go up there. You wait in this room, and this guy will come out and be like, you, and pick certain guys out, and then you go do a job. You don't know what the job is, but you know you're gonna get paid that day, and it's like what $7.25 minimum wage back in the day. So, I did. I worked at a gun ranges, shuffling and cleaning showcases. I worked on the side of the highway. I did sewage. I did construction. I did painting. I did whatever I could.
Yeah.
Because now I have to pay for school, and I have,
You have your own episode of Dirty Jobs.
Yes. Oh man. It's amazing. I was like, people at the time, like, you're not getting paid that much for this work. It's hard labor. It's hard labor. $7.25, and then they'll bump it up to $7.50 every once in a while. Ooh. And I remember the last job that I did. I was sitting in my '97 Toyota Camry. I had 200-something thousand miles on it. That car is awesome. So I was sitting in my car, and I had just like I had just a wife beater on, and I had this check in my hand. The job that I did was this basement flooded, and we had to clean out everything. And I'm talking about, the plumbing was disgusting down there. It was toilet paper. It was all kind of different things down there. Yeah. And I'm tall. The water was up to my chest. So we had other people in there. So they couldn't go as far as I could. So I'm over there cleaning stuff. And
wow.
I sat down in that car, just sweaty, just wet. And I was like, man, I'm never going to do something like that again. I would never be in this position again. So after that, I was able to find a job doing sales for Charter Communication. I think they're Spectrum now.
Yep.
So I had a job there. I did it for a couple months, and I was just waiting to get reinstated. So this is still the time that I was waiting to get reinstated. My schedule in there was crazy because I couldn't work out with the football team, but I had a job. So let's say I worked from 4 to 2 a.m. By the time I got home, it's 2 a.m. And my daughter was young, so she doesn't care what time it is.
Right.
I'm gonna play, and we're gonna
That's
go
home.
You know what I'm saying? She didn't care. She didn't care what time it was. So then 2 o'clock, and then I would go back to school around 7 in the morning. I wake up at 7, see my daughter get on the bus to go to school. Then I would go to school myself from 7 to 12, have a little bit of break, try to catch a workout in there because I couldn't work out with the team, so I had to work out by myself, and then go home, see my daughter get off the bus, then go to work. Did that for a couple months, and the last day of my job at Charter, I just walked out. I didn't even tell anybody I was leaving. They told me I got reinstated. I was like, I'm gone. I clocked in, had my lunch, got a call, and I just walked out that building, never to look back.
Like, it's been nice, but see ya.
I was like, and what's crazy is I worked with people for a couple months, and one thing that I learned about telling people your dreams is there's so many people so quick to shoot down your dreams.
Yeah.
Now I'm working with them, so I'm telling them my story, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to play in the NFL. And how I spoke back then is still kind of how I speak now. Is I always put it into the position that I'm in. Like, look, I'm going to play in the NFL. This is how I'm going to be. This is how I'm going to act. This is what I need to do.
Yep.
And they're a lot older than me, and they're like, no, there's no way you're going to do that. The numbers are against you. It's only like 1%. I was like, oh, then there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's still 1% chance of me making it, and I just got to ball out. In college, and then I'm gonna see what happens. And so a lot of those people now they reach back reach back out to me, kind of similar to like people who said I wouldn't do anything after being a teen dad, in high school. So
you just ruined your life.
Yeah,
they're like, it could be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
They're like, you're not going to amount to anything. Like whatever, you can think of.
Yeah,
that's what I was told. And then, they want to get tickets. And I'm like, look, StubHub, there's a discount for StubHub. Why don't you give me tickets? Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't help you out. But if you go here, you can go ahead and get some tickets. So, with finally getting reinstated and going to Lindenwood, my sole mission was the NFL. Like I didn't care about partying. I didn't care about doing anything extra if it didn't have to do with.
You ain't gonna catch Pierre down on Main Street.
You would not. No, you would not. No. I mean, back in the day, I had a fake. I'm just kidding. I had a fake ID. It was really good. But anyway, don't get a fake ID, kids. It's bad. So I went there and I told the coaches. I told Coach Ross was the head coach at the time. And I was like, look, I want to get to the NFL. Like whatever I need to do, that's all I'm focused on. So we worked hard together. I mean, I learned a lot more about football just talking to the coaches and learned more about the game and just focus. Like I'm talking about game ended, I'm home, text the coach, can you upload the game on Huddle and who are we playing next? I didn't really worry about hanging out because I was like, if I could focus for 3 years and put everything I have, I know something's gonna come out of it. So I was there my junior year, so I was an All-American my junior year. And then I started getting calls from different agents and they're like, hey, yeah, a lot of teams are gonna come to your practices and come and look at you. I'm like, we didn't really have anyone coming up at Lindenwood,
right.
So first day of senior practice, there's about 8 scouts over there by where the DBs are. There's about 8 scouts. They got the clipboard, and I'm like, oh, okay. Let me lace these cleats up real quick. let me get ready.
Yeah.
So it was a tough. That was one of the toughest practices because I was like, I got to really show out, and and people are like, oh, this practice. No, they're there watching you, and then after that, I had like an interview, a round table, and it's just like a speed dating thing. Hey, where are you from? Where are you at? It's like a whole bunch of people like that. So that senior year, and I was like, okay, this didn't actually happen. People were kind of looking at me because my junior year, I think I was like second in the nation in interceptions, and tackles and whatever and all this stuff. So that really got me on the notice. And at that time too, that's when the LOB was Legion Boom was already going up, but the corners were bigger.
Yeah.
So now teams are looking at corners. Like I said, everybody,
yeah,
you want to be a corner, you'll get paid. So the corners are taller. Sherman, you have Brandon Browner, you have all these guys are 6 foot plus corners, and that's what the teams were looking for. So my opportunity was like limited, but I knew I had a window because they were looking for guys like me. And so senior year, I mean, honestly, I didn't really get the ball thrown to me that much my senior year. So really, I was just trying to make sure I was technically sound, tackling, making sure I knew my assignments, knew the defense. Because I mean, there was guys like talking to me like in games where they're like, hey, you know what team you're going on? So play's going on. And I was like, no. And I was like, no, man, I'm trying to play. I'm trying to stay interested. So that senior year was very interesting. And then
that's almost a cool year to have, though. I mean, it can.
A lot of respect.
I'm big on perspective, right? So it's like, man, this could ruin my shot to go. They're not throwing the ball at me. They're avoiding me. It's like I can't show out on the game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, it's like. And I don't know if you would agree with this or not. I hated playing defense. I was the wide receiver that never wanted to play corner, and I love catching the ball. Like catch the ball, get killed. I didn't care.
Right.
But during that time where you're not getting thrown the ball, it's like your football IQ can go through the roof if you let it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna miss a read. I'm not gonna miss standing somebody up. I'm not gonna miss I'm not gonna slack in coverage. Period.
Absolutely.
So I feel like for all you kids out there too, whether it's baseball, football, soccer, does not matter. It's like if there's a time and you happen to be that chip athlete, it's like take your IQ through the roof, 100%. The other thing I want to ask you, though, too, we're going to give away a cheat code here because you keep saying you wide receivers, you're going to get paid as corners. What would be the biggest cheat code transitioning if one of these kids at Central here that we may take care of here at the office might have a shot and he needs to transition a corner from wide receiver? What's the biggest difference you got to achieve? Like, if you can figure this out right now going to corner, what is it?
If as a defensive back, if you could understand situational football, so understand that most offensive coordinators within the first 15, 20 plays, that's their bread and butter, and they repeat that same play. So hone on those when you're watching film. First 15, first quarter, and then first 15 going into the third. Learn how to watch film. You know, I think that's, if I'm teaching guys now in high school, if you can watch film, you'll be way ahead of a lot of guys. Because a lot of guys, you know, credit to all the high school coaches, they don't really have that much time with the kids.
Right.
You know, so it's not their full-time job to coach. Whether to go to college and you go to the NFL, that's your full-time job.
Yeah.
So a lot of it has to be on you. And you have Huddle now. You know, I had cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Cassette tapes. I know what those are. I know what those are.
You know what? Okay, then you know what a DVD player is. So you know what a Walkman is? Okay, just making sure.
I told you this was gonna be fun.
So so what you need to do is understand down the distance what they're trying to do to you. So watch the game. Watch first down. This is what's going on. Watch second down. This is what's going on. That can, if you're not as athletic or you're not as fast, you understanding what's about to happen, understanding receiver splits, if they're on the numbers or if they're +2 from the numbers or if they're inside the numbers, on the hash. Understanding those little things while you're watching film, you'll be able to pick up on things, and then you'll be able to see it before it happens. Because if you see it on film by yourself, you see it with the coaches, again, that's 2 times. You see it in practice, that's 3 times. You practice that. Then you see it in a game, you're going to be calling it out. So you really have to, that film study will separate you. Even if you're not as athletic or if it's your first time, watching film, understanding what's about to happen to you.
Yeah.
Because playing corner, you got to take calculated risk, So it's not like a receiver. Like you know, okay, the down marker to go first down is here. You know where you have to go.
Sure.
Or corner, like it's second and third. Are they going to pass or run the ball? Well, if you watch film on them, they're in the middle of the field in this position, +50, there's just shots.
Yeah.
And second down is a waste down. So if you understand that, all right.
Yep.
Hey, they might take a deep ball. I might just go ahead and run deep, run this post for them. So this, you know what I mean? So this watching that film is going to be. I just see it now with the guys that I train at my gym and just helping them watching film, and that's definitely going to be able to separate you from everybody else.
So as far as watching film, because I do understand what you're saying as far as like where's the receiver at? Like as a D-back, where's the receiver at? Is he inside the numbers? Is he +2? Is he? But how much of high school offenses teach wide receivers that stand here? I know when I was playing football in Cuba, Missouri, with 3,000 people, it was like go out there. You're the slot on this one. You're wide on this one. Like
it's very vanilla.
Yeah,
it's very vanilla.
So it's like, are they doing that now in high school football? Like, are they teaching it that way, or is that next level stuff?
I found it depends on the area, and certain programs they find it that's necessary, but there's some programs that don't do that. The kids they know the route trees. They know all the routes.
Yeah, we had 1 through 9.
Yeah,
all you had to remember was 1 through 9.
Right. But if they understood why they were running, if I'm a quarterback, so quarterbacks they got to read it. So quarterbacks got to know. So I'm like, if you're a receiver, you should talk to your quarterback. All right, what are you looking at? And then as a receiver, you got to understand the coverages yourself. Like, okay, if I have too high, they're probably in a zone coverage, so then I could sit down here. So there's still certain things that you can do on your own because, like I said, high school coaches, they just don't have enough time with the players to teach them that. And, they don't have that much time throughout the, now they have like suspended periods where they can't be with the kids during the summer.
Yeah.
And they have to go in and it's like a couple weeks or right into the game while, other levels, you're just football the whole time.
Right.
So you have all you have all those time. So it has to be a lot of on you. And if you could do it, I mean, you're gonna separate yourself. I mean, that's because if no school is doing it and you're doing it, and then you're able to make plays, and coaches are like, how do you see it? I saw it on film. Like, you're already thinking about, you're already on college level, NFL level right there.
Yep. Hard work beats talent every day.
100%.
And this is here, we're just giving away cheat codes today. I don't know why I'm on cheat codes today.
100%.
I never say cheat codes, but I am today. But it's like, I mean, if people go back and listen to this again, and listen to your story, listen to your drive, listen to kind of what can happen. I mean, that's real. You're not the only one that goes through that. You're not the only one with that story. It's like, no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, no matter what your parents did, it doesn't matter. Like,
doesn't matter.
There's so many people with a similar story. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you put in the work, sit in second string and you learn, you look at the coverages, you find the algorithm. Everything's an algorithm,
right?
And it's like learning how to read film now as a freshman. I mean, we've got some kids where we know, like we're pretty good at scouting. She's won 6 national championships herself. I was blessed to be a high level athlete. It's like, we're pretty good at calling out talent, and some of these kids don't even know it.
Yeah.
So for you to come on and say stuff like that, like this is what Pure Athlete's all about. Is literally cutting down that time, because if you can learn how to read film, whether you're a receiver and talk to you that way and know what any of that means, learn it, because it's coming. If that's where you want to go, it's coming. But you put in the hard work. It's like, you could be as fast as you want. You can run that route for him, go right on ahead. And if he's running a different route, or vice versa, if you don't read that's a zone coverage and you could have just sit and got the first down and a couple extra yards, it's like, you can run as fast as you want to that post. If you got 2 over the top and you're double covered, it don't matter. You could have got there in 3.9 seconds. Right. It does not matter. I mean, that's huge. And that's who's the best route runner that you played against, or that you were like, oh man?
I would say Antonio Brown and Amari Cooper.
Okay. Yeah.
So Amari Cooper, like, how he ran his routes, he was very sudden. So he'll be able to run, stop, and then transfer from one part to the other part. Antonio Brown really didn't have routes, when he was with Big Ben. So, he was just running stuff. Like, it was not really a thing that I could read. So I'm like, Coach, he does this on this down. It was very hard because Ben would just throw something up there.
Well, he could see over everybody.
Yeah, Ben, Big Ben, he could see over everybody. So it's just like, what is the route? So, and I got to play with AB when I was in Tampa. So I got to see how he worked. And so I think it was that relationship also between the two. And you kind of see it with different players now, where they have a good relationship with the quarterback, where it's not really a route. It's really just a feel, like Travis Kelce and Mahomes. He doesn't really run traditional routes. He just runs to certain areas that he feels.
As soon as Scantlin figures that out too, he's getting there.
Absolutely.
This whole year, he's probably, I might outspeak here a little bit. We need to jump back on track after I say this, probably. But I think he's probably the most, what am I trying to say? Not most underrated, but the most, he's gotten better over the course of the year, probably bar none, because you can start to see that now. Even this last game, like he's 2 strides away from being in the right spot where he's gonna throw it.
And that just takes practice. They're just gonna practice that.
Yeah.
And
most improved.
Yes, most improved. Yeah, they're gonna practice that, and they're gonna get it done. So, I just know that. I mean, Antonio Brown had no routes, so I couldn't really. There was not really too much to say about that. But I admired Amari Cooper's game when I was playing against him.
Who did you go to on the defensive side? Like, who did you like? Man, help me now. Like, who'd you look up to?
So when I went into the league, so I was in Cleveland for 2 years, and that was a rough 2 years, 2.5 years. We had the Johnny Manziel thing, the Josh Gordon thing. We didn't know who our quarterback was. Yeah. It was a lot going on in Cleveland. So when I left Cleveland, I went to the Chargers. I was only there for about 7-8 weeks, and I got cut twice. And a little side note of how a life in the NFL goes. So think about this. You're a teacher, right? You're a teacher. You work in the office, whatever you may be doing. Every week, you can possibly lose your job every single week. Every single Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, if you get a call and they'll say, hey, come up to the office. Yeah, bring your school supplies. You're done, right? And then you may never do that job ever again. Yeah. So that's kind of how the reality of football works for a lot of guys. It's not you can have guaranteed money, but they could cut you anytime, really.
Right.
So I got cut twice. So at that time, that was 3 times in 1 year. So I got cut from the Chargers twice, and then I went to Seattle. And that's when I was able to be with the Seahawks with Sherman and Cam Chancellor, Wilson, Baldwin, all those guys.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was really like kind of deflated. You know, you got fired technically 3 times in a year, and going to that new environment, it was just they had a love for football that was different from the other teams that I was on, and I just stuck with them and just got as much information as I could because I had opportunities to go to different teams and I was to be on the active. When I was in Seattle, I was on practice squad. So practice squad, everybody, this is what you do. You do everything that the active players do. You get paid way less and you don't get to play in the game. So you do everything that everybody does, but you don't get paid as much and you don't get to play in the game. So I was practice squad for a little bit and I had an opportunity to get a regular contract, active contract. But I stayed there because I was learning so much from those guys. And just learn the love of football again, and learn how to be a professional in that business where it's not personal. You know, I had to learn that it's not personal, it's business. And so I stayed there, and I did a good year there. So going into the next year, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the team. So I got cut from Seattle, and when I got cut from Seattle. So that's going into like Labor Day weekend. It was during my son's birthday. And so you don't want to call during that weekend. You don't want anyone to call you. So I tell everybody, please don't call me. It was during my son's birthday. So I get a call and it's Pete Carroll. And I'm just like, man, it's my son's birthday. You know, it was like probably like an hour left before cuts to make and you would have made the team. And they said that, that I wasn't gonna make it, and so I was like, all right, well, I don't know what to do. So then next few days, I get a call from the Colts. They're like, how fast can you get to Indy? I'm like, I think Indy's like 4 hours away. So then I drive to Indy.
So you were here.
I was in St. Louis. I was at St. Charles. I was just chilling for my son's birthday, and then I got a call to Indy. Drove to Indy like a day later. And I really made it a point to stay there, achieve what I wanted to achieve, and that was to be able to take care of my family and not have to worry as much as I did when I was younger. So when my first year there, did decent, got hurt, tore my pec with the last 4 games of the season. I was just starting into the rotation. I tore my pec. And then they signed me back on, and that was a tough couple months, like 5 months of just trying to rehab. I was out of shape. I'm just trying to get mentally ready to go back in there. You know, they signing people, they're drafting people. There's all this stuff that's going on. And so I re-signed, and then I just had a motto going into that year, like, look, it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do. You know what I mean? If coaches doesn't want to play me, it is what it is. Like, if I wasn't, getting practice reps, it is what it is. I was going to get mental reps, So I did all that, and, I was in a rotation with another guy, but I was overplaying him, and I was like, in my head, I was like, you guys have to play me. I have to be the starter. But I was like, whatever happens, it is what it is. He got hurt, similar to what happened in high school. He got hurt, and then I was like, "Now this is my chance. I'm ready now." So I went there, and I got back into the swing of things, and then I did well that year, and then I signed a 3-year deal, 3-year, $25 million deal with them, and it just all that hard work and all that time, and all I could think about was high school and the jobs that I worked and sitting out in college, and just all of it just felt like it was worth it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I stayed ready. I had a good group of people around me. I think that was probably the most important thing, was there was positive people around me that wanted me to continue to push when I thought, you know, I should stop and hang it up, and just continue to help me just to carry on when it was very tough and the adversities hit, because it was just a lot of tough weighing on me and weighing on my faith, weighing on my mental, and just, you know, physically it was just draining. But you know, just had those people around me and just stuck around, and I just, you know, stuck my nose down and just went to work, and it paid off.
I think there's a lot to learn from that, and I wish I could say this was scripted, and it's definitely not, because you talk about the things that we talk about every single day. There is a text that I sent to somebody earlier this week where it's like, if you're so worried about showing people what you can do, or showing up the next person, or doing it out of vengeance, doing it out of spite, you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've lost yourself. You've lost the game, and you've lost yourself because you're so worried about proving to others. And you know, the other thing that I hear you saying too is to always be ready, like always, like mentally. Not the mental health side is going to be a whole different topic for another day, but it's like mentally, it's like you could be jealous, or I'm better than him, or I need to be. And it's, again, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, but mentally being like in the game. So being on the sidelines, you know, that year as you go to Indy, and like, I know the coverage, I know where he's at, and watch and being in the game every single time, because you never know what's going to happen. And that guy might just need a blow for two plays. And, you know, might have stepped on the line wrong and rolled his ankle a little bit. And he's good. But you got 2 plays. That matters. Right then and there, you got 2 plays to do something. And you either hang your head, or you think you're above everybody else. And why me? Play the victim.
Right.
And it's like, so for those of you out there, whether it's parents or students, it's like, whatever you have to do, you know, one, don't play the victim card. It can happen to anybody. You still have an opportunity. You're still there.
Right.
Like, and you're not there for no reason. You're enough. You're good enough. You just have to stay ready.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, what I see with a lot of high school guys and guys in colleges, you know, and you know, guys are transferring for whatever it may be. I just want guys to understand that it's not going to be easy. You know, it's not. You know, it's not. Especially if you're wanting to play at a professional level, it's not going to be easy.
Right.
You are going to have to work. And then you're going to have to work some more on top of that. You know, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot to get to where you want to be. And I think guys need to realize, like, one, it's not personal. You know, coaches may make a decision, and if you feel that it's personal,
I gotta hear that more. I still have to hear that more.
No, you know, if it's not personal. It's a business aspect, and I know it's in high school, so it's not that like that. But you're preparing yourself for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, the higher you go, the more money is involved, and they're worried about their money, and so they're about business. So don't take anything personal. Just work on your craft. Work on you. I think the best thing that people need to do is, you know, control what you could control, and always self-improving. You know, whatever it may be, you know, just improve on your nutrition, improve on your sleeping habits, improve on certain aspects of that part that you can actually control, and everything else is going to take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just hope that, you know, a lot of kids, they just, you know, they're like, oh man, this happened to me. No, it happens to a lot of people. You're not the only one.
Yeah, it didn't happen to you. It happened for you.
It happened for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're not ever going to, you know, God is never going to give you something that you can't handle. So, you know, you're put in that position for a reason, you know, and in adversity, it shows your true character. So if you're a person that adversity hits and, you know, you dwindle down and you're not ready to face it, something else is going to happen. You're going to do the same thing.
There's kind of a story or a quote somewhere, and a lot of people are going to know exactly what I'm trying to say, but it's not about how big of a fight you put up. You're going to get knocked down.
Absolutely.
You're going to take it. It's all about how you get up.
Right hooks.
Yeah. And it's all about how you get up from
Uppercuts.
it. Right. I don't know if you've ever listened to Eric Thomas, and he's probably not the first one to say this too, but it's, you know, if you're going to fall on your back. That way you can see where you're about to stand up. And it's all about standing up, you know? And so, it's like it's not about how hard you're going to fight. You're going to get clipped. It's going to happen. To what magnitude? Who knows? But you're going to fall. And just all about getting back up.
Absolutely.
What as we kind of wrap up, we will have to do another episode as we grow. We've got plenty of other things we could talk about. But one thing that we did want to touch on right off the bat for this one is what resources going through high school, even into college, even at the pro level, you can break it down and maybe it's all the same, but what resources do you wish you'd have had more of sooner?
I think in high school, I think I would have liked to have more of more counseling involved to help with all my emotions that was going on. In high school, you got a lot of hormones going around.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I was a teen dad, so I really didn't know where to go and who to ask. I think if it was like a third party rather than going to my coaches, because you kind of feel a little bit judged, and I wanted to go to a place where I wasn't judged as much. So one thing that I did learn, and I did have the access to in the NFL was therapy, and was having another person to talk to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be therapist. Sometimes you need someone that can give you just straight up, this is how it is. I have my friends that tell me, just tell me how it is. I don't want to hear the good. Just give me your opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really didn't have that resource in high school or in college. Just kind of everything was kind of just bottled up, and just trying to work through the ways of how to be mentally stable, because I had to turn a switch on from being on the field to being a dad. So I had to learn how to do it. But I think if I had a better way of processing certain things, I would have been able to emotionally handle the situations better, which would have helped me emotionally handle situations when I was getting cut multiple times and not knowing if I was going to have a job and not knowing how I was going to provide for my family. So I think just having those resources to be able to help me figure out my emotions as I was traveling through the different paths in my career.
Yeah, we're on the right track.
Yeah, I love that.
Like I said, mental, physical, and relationships is the three pillars that the Pure Athlete's all about. And I've gone over. I think we posted the reel or something, and I literally say, I'm sick of seeing athletes be on an island, overdose on shit they don't need to be taking, and jumping out windows. And literally, it's happening more and more. And like you said, everybody's story's different. Your story in the league was different than Sherman's. Everybody has a different story, but it's like no matter what the outcome, what the fight looks like, it's like, how do you manage that?
Yes.
You don't have to be a tough guy. You don't have to have it all figured out. But what are the resources that the kids have or these student athletes have? But do the parents even know they're available?
Yeah,
are they even available? We don't know.
Right,
It's like we're not in the league, so it's like we're trying to provide that sooner. And a couple of the student athletes that I personally coach, sometimes it's like I say, do you just need to be pissed for a minute? Go ahead, let it go.
Yeah,
let me know when you're ready for perspective, right? And I think that's huge. And I think a lot of these kids, teams, whether it's a team group effort, I think more teams need to have that.
Yes.
But that's one of the things we hear all the time too, is it's like mentally and emotionally, it's like, I wish I had more of that.
Just
so
out
you're
there.
Not,
right.
What else what would be another one?
I would say,
we get time management a lot as far as students. It's like,
I think, time management. So I'm big on lists, being an athlete, because everything's scheduled, like doing. So I understood that the importance of having a plan. As I got older, I understood that the plan's going to be the same. So my plan's going to be the same, but I am going to have to adjust to certain steps that I'm going to get there. I wanted to go to the NFL, so I was like, okay, high school, D1. Okay, I didn't go D1. D2? Okay, what else can I do? Okay, now I have to sit out a year. What are the different steps? Now, the goal is still there, but I may just need to make some adjustments. So, I ask kids now, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Having kind of like that foresight on where you want to be a little bit, And I think if they could just see that, and I always hit them up, hey, you say you was doing this, but I don't see you doing that. You told me you was going to be here on time. You told me he's going to do this. Like, I can only hold you accountable to a little bit, because at some point you're going to disappoint yourself
Right.
And then now you got to look in the mirror, and that's the person that you got to sleep, go to sleep with, have self-talks with. That's the person that you're putting down. So, having a plan, time management. And I tell people this. I'm not busy. Like, I don't tell people I'm busy. Yeah. If I don't make time for it, I just have bad time management. Because you make time for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
You can make, so everyone out there, if someone can't text you back, they're just bad at time management. So, you know what I mean? You can text, you can plan stuff out. You just got to take the time and sit down and this is a priority 1, priority 2, whatever it may be. But yeah, that time management it's definitely huge because you got homework, you got practice, social life you're trying to do. So just being able to manage time and understand that if you're wanting a certain goal, you may have to limit certain things. Hey man, I can only hang out for an
God's
hour
plan's
a day.
different than yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't hang out this weekend. I got to lock in on studying because I sacrifice on studying to hang out with you guys. So I got to take something back.
Right.
But one thing, don't mess up what you really want to do. Don't everything that you want to do, whatever, college or whatever, make sure you're working towards that.
Right.
And not let that suffer.
Yeah.
The decisions you're making today are going to provide the outcome for tomorrow or from 5 years from now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's the one I sent? That was a couple months ago. It was like, you can't be mad with the outcome with the work that you didn't put in.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's like, it doesn't stop.
You can't be upset that you're not the starter if you didn't go to none of the summer workouts.
Right.
Right.
You can't be upset.
Yeah.
That's nothing with anyone but you. You
Right.
know, you can't be upset with that. And sometimes it's a little bit tough love that these kids need, and they got to understand that it's not personal. I'm just being honest. I just want to help you be the best version of yourself.
I'm going to ask one more question as we wrap this up. We're going to do an episode 2, whether you know it or not. We will. We'll save it. Because, I mean, honestly, it's like we do want to kind of jump into a little more of, okay, what happened in the league? Give us the goods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us,
There's a lot.
We love the story. Like, and this is what we wanted. We wanted your raw story and your background, and you hit almost 95% of things we wanted. We were like, man, and you did. You hit those. But say, let's go back 5 years and say you can hand pick wherever you go. Now, he's grateful everywhere he's been. Let me just disclaimer this. But let's say, I mean, in this year, say you got the pick of the litter. How many teams are there? 32 teams or something like that. And you get the pick of the litter. Where would you want to go? Knowing what you know now, and you've got a three-year contract.
3-year contract.
And you're 5 years younger.
While I'm thinking about this is why. I need to kind of go to a place where I know my skill set. So certain players can play in certain coverages and certain defenses.
Okay.
I would probably go back to Tampa, honestly.
Okay.
I like that defense a lot. And I think I would be able to use that to go to a different place. But as I look at teams, I'll look at the quarterback situation because the quarterback's gonna be where you make it or break it. Because if you're on defense and you got some guy over there that can score on a will, that's gonna be very helpful. But you also need to understand that picking the teams when going through the free agency process, picking a team this team plays a lot of man coverage. And we don't got we don't have the D line for that. So
right.
I don't want to work that hard.
I'm gonna get so like sometimes it's a little bit of it. So but for me it would be defensive scheme. So Tampa has Tampa 2, like there's Tampa, there's Chicago, there's other like Indy. There's teams that play that type of scheme that I enjoy the most. Now, as a corner, you had to do a lot more tackling, but tackling is a mindset. It's not a skill. Like as much as people think, it's a mindset. Now you're gonna need to know how to tackle, but when Saquon Barkley's coming out, you better have a good mindset. Like I gotta take this guy down. That's a lot of quad coming at you. So,
no doubt.
But, yeah, so I would say Tampa, just because of the scheme, and I played there before, and just knowing the history of what that defense is, I would like to go back to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, last thing, this is the last thing I've said a few times. You've opened a gym here in O'Fallon, right? What's it about? What are you doing? We'll we'll put out some content way ahead of this on what you're doing. But if, like I said before we come on the air, if there's anything we can do, I don't know what it would be, but we'd love to be on your sideline too, whatever we can do. But what is it you're doing with Hustle and Heart?
Yeah, so one of the things that I focus on is getting these kids to college. That's one of my main focus. Whatever resources that I can use to help kids get to that next level, because a lot of them, that's what they want to do. They want to play at the next level. And then also having them understand, what the reality is and how it is. I think sometimes people don't really tell them the honest truth, and I like to be very truthful and be honest with them. Look, you're here. You have to be here to go there, or you may have to go here. So I like to be honest with them. And our training, how we train, we like to keep it very intimate, because, I could pump 30, 40 people in the gym, but I want the kids to get good work. I want the kids to get coaching. Want them to learn more about, whether speed training or whatever, if it's sport specific. So we want to be a little bit more intimate in that, because we want to be able to help the kids. It's not as much as, people say it's like, oh, it's about the money. If it's about the money, I'll just say, hey, everybody just come in. I wouldn't be in there training kids. I wouldn't, be able to taking the time. But the main focus is to help kids get to the next level, help people gain confidence in themselves that they may have lacked or never had before, with using fitness, because fitness for me has been a big tool and helping me gain confidence, helping me reach to the next level, helping me, when get through certain times where I was a little bit upset, a little bit mad, whatever it is, fitness helped me a lot. So I'm trying to want to be that beacon of hope for people to come in, and whatever fitness level you're at, if you're in the sports or, young, old, we're here to help you, to just help you to get where you want to go.
Right on. Well, episode 2 to come. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Super appreciate you coming in, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm excited to blast this one out and get some feedback on it. But we're also excited that you're here with the student athletes that we're seeing.
Yeah.
We started 2 more yesterday. And I think, we're always looking for resources like that, and knowing somebody we talk about it all the time, knowing somebody who's been there and recently. Yeah. And that's going to be a huge asset. And there's a couple people we see that already come to you. Can't really divulge information, legalities, but it's cool that we've crossed paths, and just super appreciate you coming in. Yeah. Where can we find you? How do you want people to find you? What do you got?
Yeah, so you can reach us. You can reach my gym at Hustle and Heart SP on Instagram. Myself on Instagram is just Pierre Desir. You can also reach us at hustleandheartsports.com. Okay. We got some great merch at hustleandheartsports.com if you want to go out there. Oh, I'm sorry, hustleandheartstore.com. We got some great merch. So, and if you're a college athlete out here and you just want to talk, I answer all my DMs. So if you have a question about sport or whatever and the next level, I'll be honest and I'll give you my opinion, and just want to help everybody win.
If he doesn't answer you, just message again. Says time management.
Time management. I'm like, I gotta do better. I'm not busy. My time management is off. You're right.
We got a saying around here: "Don't be sorry, be better."
Yeah, be better. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, signing off. Till next week. See ya.